Hello, I'm Sheryl McCarthy of the City University of New York. Welcome to One to One. From the ancient Greeks to Shakespeare to the Federal Theater Project to the Public Theater, playwrights, directors, and actors have used the stage to address the burning political and social issues of their times. But how do you go beyond the usual denizens of the theater to release the creativity and energy of the people who are directly affected by these issues? Our guest, Katy Rubin, has one answer. She is founder and executive and artistic director of the Theater of the Oppressed, a nonprofit company made up of volunteer actors who know firsthand what it means to struggle for housing, jobs, medical care, freedom from abuse by the criminal justice system, and for basic human respect. By acting out their struggles, they hope to reach those who are in a position to change their lives. And one of these actors is Majory LaPointe, a member of the Housing Works Troupe. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Katy, you have a background in theater, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little something about that.
Sure. I went to acting school at Boston University, but before that I grew up in a family of kind of creative activists. So we did street theater and circus, but also protests and really engaged in a lot of issues as a family when I was growing up. But I always loved the theater. And I really gravitated towards creative and fun ways to express what I felt about what was going on and engage with my community about the social issues that I felt like we needed to change, ways that didn't feel like, sort of unhappy or
No Eugene O'Neill in your life? Okay.
Well, but no, Eugene O'Neill is great, but the kind of protesting that feels very mandated or we have to do this, but we're not going to have any fun. I was interested in what can we do to bring creative problem solving to the problems that I see. So, yeah.
So how did the Theater of the Oppressed get started in New York?
Mm-hmm.
And why?
Yeah. So after I went to acting school at Boston University, I got the opportunity to travel to Rio, to Brazil, to study with Augusto Boal, who's the founder of Theater of the Oppressed, which is a tool that's used all over the world. And that was in 2008. The next year, unfortunately, he passed away. But he had been working with Theater of the Oppressed in Brazil for decades, and it was really integrated into the society with the government, with the institutions, working with prisoners, with guards, with schools, with teachers, students, etc. And I came back here, and I felt like, wow, this was such an effective and exciting tool, and I loved it, and I got to marry my love for theater with my love, my passion for social justice, and I felt like it wasn't being used in the United States effectively, kind of outside of the academy. And I'm a New Yorker, and I wanted to be able to confront a lot of the issues that I saw myself and my neighbors facing here.
So what was your first play, and who did it?
So the first play was with the Jan Hus Homeless Outreach Program. So we made the Jan Hus Homeless Theater Troupe was our very first troupe in 2010. They just gave me a call and said, I heard we could make a play about our stories. And we started meeting there once a week. It was mostly men who are out of the shelter system, using churches and other resources on the Upper West and Upper East Sides. And we would meet once a week and created a play called It Could Happen to You, about how a person went from having a job and having an apartment to losing the job, losing the apartment, and being homeless on the street. And then what happened to him with the police and in the shelter system after that. The first show, we thought that no one would show up, no one would want to see this play in a basement created by homeless actors, and we had to keep adding chairs. We had a huge audience. And after that, other venues, other soup kitchens and shelters, community centers wanted us to perform. And actually, the Housing Works Troupe that Majory is a part of asked to bring some of their clients to that show, and that's how we later started a troupe with Housing Works.
Okay. So how has the project grown since then?
Mm-hmm. So since then, we have, we started with that one troupe. Right now in 2015, we have 10 troupes with community organizations and city agencies all over the 5 boroughs. That includes homeless youth and adults, LGBTQ homeless youth and youth at risk, court-involved youth and adults, people living with HIV and AIDS, immigrants, and trafficking victims. And all of those troupes are making plays whole year and perform.
And I think I read that you do about 30 performances a year.
Yeah, actually more. I think last year we had about 45.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What's the process? And each troupe is located within a particular either nonprofit or social service agency. Okay. What's the process? How do you go about creating a troupe and putting together a performance?
So we, first of all, usually the organization or the clients of that organization say, we would like to make a play about our experiences, or we're having a particular problem right now and we want to make a play to express that. And then we come around, maybe we'll bring another troupe to do a play there to show what it's like, or we'll come and do an open workshop and say, who here wants to join the theater troupe? So it's always open to whoever wants to join. No one has to have any theater experience before. It's really about you are an actor in your own life, and if you have a story to tell, then you can be in this project. And then we say, you know, what's the day of the week that works best for everyone here? What's the time of day? So we're really working with the community to find out how can this work for them. And then we start a rehearsal process once a week that goes on for about 3 months.
But even before that, does it start with people telling their stories and then you're figuring out from there what kind of the play is going to be?
Absolutely. So actually the beginning of the rehearsal process, we don't have a play at all. It's just games, exercises, improv, and we get to telling stories of people in the group. And the really interesting part is to see that people in the group have had really similar experiences. And we start to build the story of the play from everybody's different experiences, weaving them together into one story. And so a troupe that has made many plays might have one play about, for instance, stigma affecting people who live with HIV. Another play about transgender women trying to get jobs and being rejected. So the same different issues might affect the same community, and at different times of the year or of their existence, they have different stories to tell. And so we'll figure out what is the urgent story that this group wants to tell and weave together the structure of the play from everyone's stories. And it's not scripted. We never write it down to really make it accessible for people to improvise and to tell their own story and feel like it's coming from them.
Is workshopping, it's like workshopping any other play, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And how long does it usually take to create? I mean, you call them a theater forum performances. Why that?
Absolutely.
Why that title?
Yeah. So once we have a play, we'll talk with the troupe and we'll say, which audiences do we want to reach here? You know, what's the issue? What's the neighborhood? Where do we want to go? Do we want to go to this community center? Do we want to try to get into this theater? And we'll perform. Usually we'll have a little tour of each show with 3 or 4 performances. But at each performance, there's a forum. And this is what makes Theater of the Oppressed unique, is that the audience is actually called spect-actors, not just spectators. And they're invited after the play to get up on stage, go back to a moment where they saw a problem or a situation of discrimination, and enter the scene as the protagonist, as the person trying to change the problem, and try something new. And then the rest of the actors are prepared to improvise with them, to respond as they realistically think those characters would.
Okay.
And then we have an analysis of those ideas. This would work in this neighborhood, but not in this neighborhood, in this state, but not in this state. This is the kind of policy.
You mean a discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a discussion with the actors and the audience, facilitated by someone from Theater of the Oppressed NYC. How can, these ideas become reality?
Okay. Marjory, how did you become involved with Theater of the Oppressed?
When I came here, I was trying...
From Haiti?
From Haiti. From Haiti. When I came here, I was trying to get a job, because I went through, I don't know if you heard about kidnapping in Haiti and this stuff, and I decided to come to live here. When I came, it was hard for me to get a job, as I didn't go to school here. I had a background, but...
What kind of work had you done back home?
I did accounting and management back home, and I spent more than 10 years managing and doing this. When I got here, I came with a visa. I didn't come to stay. And barrier of language, by not speaking English, it was my French and Haitian Creole. I found a lady using me. I was doing accounting for her, but I did not get paid.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I have to do other stuff for her too, by cooking, cleaning. And sometimes I feel depressed when I get home. I stayed home. I was thinking my lifestyle back home, I want to go home, but I can't go back home. I have to stay here. And then I start getting sick, undocumented. It really hard to go to the hospital. And finally, my husband and my sister, they decide to bring me to the hospital. When I went to the hospital, it was a miracle. I went there. I met one of member of Housing Works. He passed away, unfortunately, with Vargas. And they were speaking Spanish for some reason, according to my last name. They thought I was Spanish. And they started speaking Spanish. And I was totally blank about Spanish. And then I said, no, I don't speak Spanish. I speak French and Haitian Creole. And there was a nurse over there. Then they started speak French to me. And then this is, boom, I got there, and they did everything for me.
The people from Housing Works?
No, people from the hospital.
Okay. So how did now Housing Works is an organization, I mean, it seemed to have been founded to provide services for people with HIV, AIDS. Is that what they still do, or do they do more than that?
They do more than that. They help with everything, but I got involved with them because of Luis Vargas. Put me in contact with them because I was really depressed. Really, really depressed.
Okay. And what were they able to do for you?
Oh, they helped me. When you go to the daycare, they build self-esteem. They help you to build your self-esteem. And then I didn't know also I'd be able to act. I never act for my life. And one of them, member over there, Jose Cruz, talked to me, said, Marjory, why don't you join the theater?
Because they already had an acting troupe.
An acting show.
Okay.
I said, I don't think I'll be able to make it. I don't speak English. I don't understand them. I don't speak the same language. And he told me, but I was struggling, you understand, to communicate. And he told me, why don't you try, Marjory? Try. And this is where I decided to join.
Okay.
And since I joined
What was the first play that you were in about, and what was it about?
Oh, I can't remember because at that time I was really, really, really totally out of myself. Totally out of myself. I was frustrated about getting sick without knowing, because I was a lifestyle, really has normal lifestyle.
Right.
But it happened because, I don't want to name, okay, I forgive him.
Okay.
And then frustrated by having a job. I've been working since graduate high school. I had a good living, and facing this, I'm struggling. Coming here by an immigrant.
Right.
I don't have a shelter. And so proud of me. I don't want to ask for my family to help me. You understand? I was debating. I went also to a restaurant, working. I never get paid.
Wow. Wow.
I
think that happens a lot with immigrants, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Well, we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna learn more about your experience. I'll be back with more with Katy Rubin and Majory LaPointe of the Theater of the Oppressed after this message. Welcome back to One to One. I'm Sheryl McCarthy of the City University of New York, and I'm talking with Katy Rubin, the Executive and Artistic Director of the Theater of the Oppressed, and actor Majory LaPointe of the Housing Works Troupe, who's appearing with the Theater of the Oppressed. So Majory, tell me about, a play that you were in. What did you do?
My first play, it was, I went to work with a lady, and this lady has money really, and has 5 accounts in different banks. And this lady doesn't have no one to help her out. And she came to me and said, I need someone to help me with my accounts because I never touched them a while ago. She was living with her husband, and the husband passed away and doesn't have any kids. I decided to help her out. I was doing everything with accounting, and beside of that, she asked me, "Oh, I'm hungry. Could you help me out to cook? Could you help me to shower?" It was only for accounting.
So you become an accountant, a housekeeper, a nurse, everything, and I bet you don't get paid.
Not at all.
So this was really your story.
Yes.
Okay.
Not at all. And I was doing it, to tell you the truth, I need money, but also to keep me alive. Because as I told you at the beginning, I started working since I graduated high school. Understand? I used to go to school and do whatever I am doing. By sitting here in this country doing nothing, it really put me depressed. Instead of to stay home, they were all day, all night. And in that time, I didn't even have a TV, even if a cell phone.
Right.
So I said to myself, go to help her would be helpful for me. By helping her, I helping myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I still going with her. And sometimes we have to go out, not really to go a certain place doing nothing. Just she want to step out by tired, sitting home and everything. The only one part of it I enjoy for real, meeting people and to express myself and not feel really by myself. You know what I'm saying?
So doing that play, which is really about your life, helped to explain the story, I mean, your story and that of probably a lot of other arrivals to this country. And what did it do for you being in that play? What did you get out of it?
I get away of it and I see clear. I understand when you come from another country, you have to put yourself in. And I suggest any immigrant, anyone where you're from, the best thing, you must be educate yourself. Don't sit down and say, I can't make it. Mm-hmm. Educate yourself.
You have to re-educate yourself.
Yes.
Okay, and that encouraged you to do that from being in that play?
Yes.
Okay. How many people in your troupe?
We have 7. It depends of what we have to show out. The last one, we 7.
Okay.
The last one.
How many plays have you done altogether?
I can't count.
You can't So many. Katy, tell me about some of the other troupes and some of the other plays that they have put on.
Mm-hmm. So right now we have, as I said, we have 10 troupes going on, and a few of those troupes are in the Legislative Theater Festival that's coming up this June. And so one of those is the Covenant House troupe, which is made up of youth with experience of homelessness.
Right.
And they're residents at Covenant House in Midtown. And some of their stories, their last play actually that they performed last fall was about a homeless street musician, which was one of their stories. One of the residents played guitar, played in the subway, and it was about him constantly getting harassed by the police. And woven into that story was the story of another character who had been kicked out of his house for being gay, and was homeless as a result of being, estranged from his family. Which actually, that story happens to some of our actors in several troupes. The Ali Forney Center too. Also, we had a play a few years ago about a young person who was found out for being gay. The parents were called by the principal. The father, who was an alcoholic, kicked him out of the house in Ohio, and he traveled by himself, hitchhiked essentially to New York City.
New York.
Yeah. And then what happens when you get to New York City and you don't know anyone and you don't know where to go and you're 17, 18.
Right.
And in that play, that person found other LGBTQ homeless youth who slept on the pier down at Christopher Street. And often with with these plays, there's interactions with the police, whether we're talking about immigrants, whether we're talking about homeless youth or adults, whether we're just talking about, young people who live in Jamaica, in Bed-Stuy, and Staten Island. Interactions with the police and the court system.
Very common.
Very, very common. So,
you mentioned that a lot of these troupes have performed, at least have performed in your Legislative Theater Festival. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So we, as I said, we always have the audience get up and try ideas. And after many of these performances a few years ago, we started feeling like, this is great. We're getting a lot of brainstorming. People are really putting themselves in the shoes of the actors and the storytellers. But sometimes there's problems that are just very hard to change. And they need not just individual change, but institutional change, policy change. And so we need to get some of these policymakers into the theater to see the plays and involve themselves in the same process with us and have this same creative brainstorming about what they can do to change these problems, right? Because the way that the police interact with young people might not be changed on an individual one-on-one level. So this is the third year that we're having this festival. And what we do is we bring together a handful of our troupes that are all addressing a similar issue. So this year it's particularly about what happens after you're convicted or spend time in jail, incarcerated. So barriers to public housing, employment. Yeah, particularly employment. Actually, the Housing Works Troupe show they're working on right now is about access to employment after getting out of jail. And then the repercussions of not being able to get a job on the whole family.
Have you succeeded in having any legislation passed or having any policy changes as a result of your festivals?
So absolutely. Here's the last few years we've had Jimmy Van Bramer, who's now the council majority leader, and Carlos Menchaca last year, as well as representatives from Housing and Urban Development and the Department of Justice on the federal level. And this year we'll also have Tish James and Steve Levin and other council members who are joining every day. And the first year, 2013, was before the Community Safety Act was passed, which was in response to a lot of the police harassment that was happening in New York City. And Jimmy Van Bramer saw a scene of a transgender woman being harassed by the police and accused of prostitution because she had condoms in her purse. And he was really affected by that. And he later said to the public that he voted for the Community Safety Act to pass, and when he voted for it, he was thinking about that scene.
Okay.
So that influenced that. And then last year,
his vote. Yeah. I'm going to stop you because we got 2 minutes left.
Okay.
And I want Marjory to tell me. Do you have any other plays coming up, and do you recommend this for other people to become involved with the theater?
Yes, I will. They are really friendly over there, really good understanding. There's a lot of good people, good counselors to boost yourself, to help. They are really helpful.
These are people at Housing Works who are...
Yeah, Housing Works.
Okay.
Everywhere you meet certain people acting up.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say it on my side, I wish I would really do good one over there.
Mm-hmm. And you've really gotten a lot out of being an actor.
Indeed, I learned. As last year, as Kate said, I never worked with the Beans back home. And then I worked with them. Oh, my goodness. It was amazing. We had a show. And for this next month, we have a show again with Whitney Museum. It's body part. I never know I could make those stuff. I learned from there.
Okay, that's great. At the Whitney Museum?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So, Katy, that gives you about 30 seconds to say what you want to say about the program.
Absolutely. So all of New York City is invited to the Legislative Theater Festival June 4th, 5th, and 6th at the New School. Particularly June 4th and 5th are the evenings that the legislators will be there, the council members, et cetera. And June 6th is a day of workshops and trainings for people to understand how to get involved in
and that's something you have every year.
Every year, okay. And it's free to everyone, and they'll be able to see plays addressing all of these issues.
All your performances are free, correct?
All of our performances are free. We recommend that folks make reservations on our website.
Okay.
But everyone's welcome.
Okay. We're out of time. I want to thank Katy Rubin and Majory LaPointe for being here. If you'd like more information, check on the Theater of the Oppressed website at theateroftheoppressedny.org. nyc.org. You'll find the dates of their performance schedule there. For the City University of New York and 1 to 1, I'm Sheryl McCarthy. If there are any people you'd like to hear from or topics you'd like us to explore, please let us know. You can write to me at CUNY TV, 365 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10016, or you can go to the website at cuny.tv and click on Contact Us. I look forward to hearing from you.